All right, welcome back to Flip the Script. I think this is what, episode 4? Episode 4, Flip the Script, fourth time we did this. I wanted to thank you very much for the support you gave to Providence Women and Infants Hospital recently. That was amazing. Thank you, my brother. For people who don't know it, Kyle's one of the most generous people when it's valid in the state of Rhode Island, Massachusetts, maybe the universe, right? So
I don't know about that.
Let's keep it moving. Last time we spoke, the market, we were kind of both in a point where we'd seen some frustration, right? Mm-hmm. Where seller greed, buyer frustration, agent frustration. Where do you see the market right now?
Battling out of frustration.
Yeah.
Sellers are starting to get a little more humbled. Buyers are starting to get a little more cognizant of the interest rate environment, therefore demand's pulled back a little bit. Mm-hmm. So when you start to see demand pull back a little bit, you start to see pricing. If it's not at a fire sale number or not a property that's like a significant commoditized product that everyone and their mom's going to come at, things sitting a little longer. So I think you're starting to see a little normalization, which is good.
I feel like there's kind of like, you hear about pent up demand, but I feel like there's pent up supply. You know,
there's 4 to 5 years of pent up supply.
Yeah,
we've been undersupplied for the past 5-6 years. We've had the same script telling people there's not enough supply, probably since 2016.
So there's just so many people that are waiting on that trigger still, that like make me move moment, that like push me moment. It's usually like just a little bit too late, I notice, with most people when they finally figure out what they want to do.
The general public's always usually last to the, kind of behind the 8 ball, right? So you've always got the sharks and the sharp people that are up front. Then you got the general public that's a little behind. And I think what you'll start to see is when that trigger happens and you start to see people go forward with selling their home, you're going to see an influx of supply and it's going to bring prices down. And if rates don't come down somewhat with them, prices are going to have to come down substantially. So the next 6 to 12 is going to be really, really important.
What do you see out there in the foreclosure market? I know the auctions have kind of picked up, not to where they were or even where close, but a little bit. Like there's a little bit of activity there.
I think you're seeing auctions come back to 10% of where they were. They were 5% of where they were. So you're starting to see a little trickle up there. Foreclosure market MLS stuff is like non-existent. Right. As far as sellers that are doing short sales, non-existent. 1 out of every 1,000 maybe do a short sale. I just think at the end of the day, there's no reason for someone to become whoever's listening or watching, there's no reason for you to be in a financial bind and be forced to sell your home either short of what you owe or in a depressed fire sale situation where the bank's going to take it. Because values are still so high, you should be able to have a spread on what you owe on it. Unless you really, really kind of messed up with the purchase or you took a huge line of credit and then you went and blew it all. But it's almost impossible for anyone from 2010 to 2023 to be negative equity.
It's like I always say it's unfortunate this is the way people think, but it's like if you look at selling a house to a buyer, the downside is a lot more time. It's a lot for the agent. I mean, it's a lot more time. It's a lot more energy, a lot more gas, a lot more expended. But the upside is that it's usually somebody coming into like a joyful situation.
Right.
When you deal with a seller, a lot of times those motivations are negative. The 5 Ds: death, divorce, dimension, debt, and distance.
Right.
There's something that's throwing them off, and I always feel like it's too bad that people wait until they're up against it and then they make their move. You know what I mean?
It's because generally we are as a society and we are as public, we're reactive versus proactive. Right. So we become reactive in nature, and when you're reactive, you don't make a decision and a move until it's too late, and then you're forced. Then your hand is forced. You're back against the wall. You have no choice, and you got to make that quick decision.
You're not reactive though.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a normal person. Yeah. I'm abnormal in many ways, which is not a good thing or a bad thing.
He's actually made out of metal, bro. It's like a cyborg.
It's just I have a different mentality, and I'm thankful for that, and I say that every day. I'm grateful for having somewhat of a different mentality that I found to be helpful in everything I do and really provide value to people that are, looking for that insight that I can help.
I forget who it was who said, it might have been Daniel Kahneman who said, optimists are the engines for the economy, you know?
Right.
He pointed to that trait of like optimism, of like somebody who thinks they can drive things forward, who will attempt to take on things that maybe other people would say aren't hard. I mean, my philosophy on it's always like, hey, if he did it or she did it, and I don't see what separates her or him from me, then why can't I do it also? You know, like I look at it like that's just like science. Like if somebody else can do it and they look kind of like me and they're not, you know, a different race of species than me,
right?
That, you know, they're just another member of the human race. Then if they did it, I can do it too. You know.
I mean, nothing in the universe has yet to be created. Everything's already created. It's just how do you figure out how to find it? Or how do you understand how to navigate to whatever you want to be? And I think at the end of the day, when you say that, the only thing I would argue that's not true there is you'll never be David Ortiz. You'll never be LeBron James. I'll never be Tom Brady. Yeah, but we'll never. Physical constraints,
right.
That's the one part. Athletics is the one. Everything else is doable.
In a business setting, right?
In a business professional setting, reality is everything else is possible. We're all in the same boat. It may take you and I longer to get there because we didn't have the pedigree, we don't have the background, we don't have the network, but it's all possible.
It's interesting you brought up athletics because I feel like, I mean, for guys like us who we're athletes or are athletes or trying to be athletes or whatever you want to call it in my case, right?
Yeah.
Who grew up with that, what we didn't have, the athletics instilled what we needed to become great in business later on inside of us, because it's that teamwork inside of being a competitor. It's that will to win, the ability to fight through things, but also be part of a cohesive unit, right? Like we were both basketball players, so
right.
we hire a lot of basketball players now. And I always say, like, look, if you're in a 5-on-5 game and you're playing man-to-man defense, you want to not only win your individual matchup, but you want to win the game. And
right.
you also know that winning the game is more important than winning your individual matchup.
Right.
But you have that competitor inside of you that wants to do both. You
right.
know what I mean? Like if me and you are guarding each other and you get 20 points, I want to get 25. If
right.
you know, I want to beat you, but I know that if I have to sacrifice myself for the team to win, then I'm going to sacrifice myself 7 days out of 7.
Right.
So it's that. I think that really translates well in business.
That's the plus-minus effect, right?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, right? But I think the nice part is that business and that what we do is not binary in the sense that the plus-minus doesn't really exist in the business world, because you can do really well and I can still do really well. Mm-hmm. And 10 other people doing the same thing in the same brokerage, in the same business, selling in the same city can do really well. So like at the end of the day, it's important to realize that like a lot of people are always, you know, I don't want to use the term hating, but hating in the sense that, oh, F this guy, F that girl, he sucks, she sucks, they don't do this well. Well, number one, worry about yourself. Number
Absolutely.
two, let them run their business the way they want. Like, you run your business your way, I run mine my way, 3 other people run it 3 different ways. It works for me. It works for you. It's okay.
You're going to find 5 or 10 common threads, I think, between everybody with a successful business in real estate, and then 200 differences.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's going to be, you know, things like waking up in the morning and getting to it is going to be 100% for high succeeders, you know. But
right.
for like how you dress, how you talk, who you talk to, what you focus on, where you live, what your market is, those things are going to be so different. Like if you look at the top 10 panel in our office, it illustrated it perfectly.
10 totally different people.
Right.
From totally different backgrounds, from totally different demographics, with total different socioeconomic backgrounds, 10 totally different people.
I feel like if you're you know, if you're trying to become a successful real estate agent, you could almost look at like what those constants are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's going to be basically waking up early in the morning, not being afraid of your phone, mm-hmm. right? This thing can't. If you think the phone weighs 6,000 pounds, you're not going to be successful. But other than those things, maybe getting a CRM to get you organized. You know, eventually as you build, you're going to see people always have to find leverage somewhere. You know, but outside of like the basic structure like that, like the nuclear structure of a successful person, this is one of the most diverse industries that I think exists, really. You know,
it is, and I think it's probably one of the easiest industries to enter in the form of a barrier of entry.
Right.
It's a test and a class, and go get them.
And you're never going to use the stuff you learn in that test after you get the license.
It's a test. It's a test and a class,
yeah.
and a pat on the back.
Right.
and a go get 'em Tiger.
Go get 'em boy.
Go get 'em champ. Go get 'em girl. Go get 'em chief. Go get 'em Indian. Whatever it is, it's like that's what it is. So I was listening to something today, and it was like real estate is basically a vehicle to get you to a certain level. It then is on you if you want to level up to a different level, right? Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
real estate gets you somewhere, and then from there, where you take it is up to you.
Now it's
Whether you decide to move forward and progress into something bigger or stronger or whatever, or you continue in that space, or you do both. Like that's the cool part. It's like you can be an agent, then you can progress into other businesses and do other stuff and have ancillary stuffs around real estate, and it all flows together.
I wanted to move similar, connected, but slightly different direction on the way the market's operating with respect to kind of honoring your co-brokers, whether they're in-house, out-of-house, in your company, in a different company, from a different state, from your area, et cetera, et cetera. You've always been someone who, despite having, as we've spoken about before, a handful of haters, like honestly, for the volume of business you do, I always would point out to somebody that you have a lot more supporters and lovers. It's like 80% people who would have a positive opinion.
And the people that don't like me are the ones that aren't doing business.
So, right, exactly.
To be honest.
So when I look around the industry, I'm seeing a lot of agents that aren't practicing that way, that are gaslighting, that are trying to make the other agent look bad, that are, failing to communicate, that are not wanting to really kind of share the ball or work with other companies or work with other agents. With all the success that we're having and you're having individually, why aren't you like that?
I think what goes around comes around. And I think that if we work together towards the same common goal, we have a better chance to get there than competing, combating. And I feel like what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If it's good for me to take half, I give you half. And I think, some of the companies that do that don't do that, I've had conversations with them, and I think the problem the industry has is people are scared to approach them. And after I approach these certain people, we have a commonality. We're okay. We understand. Like, I understand their point of view. They understand my point of view. And there's a way we can come to a solution. But what happens is everyone just sits back and just says, oh, this girl or this guy's not fair or this one does this. Well, let's understand why they do what they do. Let's explain our rationale of what we do, and let's figure out a way we can work together and coexist. And I think that's the part. A lot of people will sit back and throw stones before they have that and enter that conversation.
1,000%. It comes understanding. I would say, like, a quick parable is, if you think about two people sitting at a bar, if you're complaining, right? Some people always listen to you complaining. So I'll say, one guy could be sitting at a bar, somebody could come in, sit down, and say, can I buy you a drink, and start complaining about their spouse. She doesn't do this, she doesn't do that, she used to help me out with this, she won't help me. Guy says, oh, she sounds terrible, pays for, thanks, let me buy you a round, I'll leave the bar. Woman comes in, sits down next to the guy, starts complaining, oh, my spouse, all he does is play golf, he's gaining weight, he's not doing this, he doesn't watch the kids enough, blah, 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 blah. Says, oh, he sounds terrible, pays for the drink and leaves the bar. Those two people could literally be married to each other.
Right.
And if you just come in to complain about something, people are going to agree with you. They're not going to disagree with you. If you're complaining about a third party, they're going to let you complain. They're going to agree with you, and you're going to walk out thinking everybody agrees with you.
Of course.
But if you hit the actual head on with the person, the party that's causing you the issue, and you say, how do we make a deal here? How do we make this right? Maybe we're not going to go off into the sunset holding hands, but I'm going to walk out. My client's going to get what they want. Your client's going to get what they needed, and we're going to move on, and we're going to get our pay. Then I think that that resonates with me how you just put that. So,
I mean that's what it is, and I think it's the perception of to your point, those two people that could be married to each other. I mean, unfortunately the perception they have of each other is already negative.
Right.
So it's already like you're going into this thing not open-minded.
Right.
Same situation here. You're going into this meeting with this other company not open-minded, already thinking why they do what they do, and you could be wrong from every aspect. So I think that's the part that's important.
And always, like you say, You say I show Kim this, my significant other. Say keep it moving, right? Kim,
right.
the acronym.
That's right.
I put that up. I'm like, baby, look at this.
That's right.
You're famous now.
That's right. You are.
But yeah, you just that is a way to go through life. Like literally, just I mean, I take those words. Just keep it moving, man. You know, like if something's about you and it's coming straight at you and you have to defend yourself from it, then do so. But if you're constantly interjecting yourself into those situations,
you're wasting your time.
You're wasting your time.
You're wasting your energy. You're wasting your time.
So let's leave the kids out there with some advice. Like obviously, we feel like there's pent up supply. The real estate market's been good for sellers, but tough overall. What is something that you think somebody can do to just bring it back to basics and accelerate their career right now if they've been a real estate agent who's currently in a slump?
If you're an agent that's slumping, pick up the phone and dial.
Right here.
People you know, people you don't know, business owners, people that you did past business with, spheres of influence, center of influence in your business world, past clients. Pick that thing up and just keep dialing. And I promise good things will happen. And that's a fact, and it's a known fact. And I think it's not only pick it up, but I'm going to give you one last thing. Perfect practice makes perfect. Imperfect practice makes imperfection. Mm-hmm. Pick your poison.
Right.
Do things right. Do them consistently, and you'll get there.
Sage like wisdom, brother.
All right, dude.